Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. Today as always I'm going to take a quick look at the markets before we take a look at some news from the day. So let's jump straight into it by quickly refreshing CoinMarketCap here. Today, in what many people describe as a crypto Black Friday, we have seen the values of the entire market drop once again by about 3 or 4% down to 138 billion US dollars in market cap. Now, of course, we see Bitcoin most importantly dropping here, but only by 4.66% when most of the top 10 has dropped significantly more. Also notably here today, XRP has actually dropped along with everything else, when for the past couple days it has mostly been able to outperform the rest of the markets. This is pretty much the first we're seeing XRP just move along, drop along with everything else. But here we see still 3.5 or more than 3.5 billion ahead of Ethereum, so still safely in the second spot. Everything here dropping, and Bitcoin Cash for once not dropping more than the rest of the markets seems to finally be stabilizing around $200, which of course when the coin was just at over $600 a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, earlier this month. That is just tragic. But of course, there is a reason this is being referred to as Crypto Black Friday. And that is that A, this is seen as an opportunity to buy cheap. Now, of course, Black Friday, if you're in the US, you know perfectly well what it is. And in much of the rest of the world, stores are slowly but surely adopting it as well. Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving where there are insane sales at a lot of stores, where a lot of stores open at midnight or might even open late on the Thanksgiving evening. And you always get news of people being trampled or killed in America over this. It's quite interesting. But yeah, a lot of people are referring to this as the Crypto Black Friday because it happens to be Black Friday today and all the values are down. People see this as an opportunity to buy for essentially sale prices before everything shoots back up in the near future. Now, personally, I'm not too convinced that we're going to see the prices rise back up significantly before the end of the year. But if you're looking at the long term here, the late 2018, early 2019 period might be the last time you ever get the chance to buy some of these at these prices. I could very well see a future where after early 2019 or so, you are never going to see XRP under $1, you're never going to see Ethereum under 200, you're never going to see EOS under 10 again. So these are very much sale prices in my opinion, just looking at the potential of the crypto markets in the future and a lot of developments we have been seeing. But another reason that is being referred to as a Black Friday is because we tend to see this in the crypto world. And the reasons for this could be manifold. I'm sure there have been analyses written, but it would make sense, of course, that some people are pulling a part of their money out of their crypto holdings around this time of the year, because we have Thanksgiving in the US, we have Black Friday the next day, where some people might be making big purchases that they might need some money for, and then not so much later we have Christmas coming up. So there would be a lot of reasons why some people might be pulling out money out of their holdings around this time. Now, personally, in my opinion, if you don't have the kind of money on hand to buy your Christmas gifts for the year or to make sure you can have a nice Thanksgiving, you probably have invested too much of your net worth. Like as a rule of thumb, never invest so much that one high bill or one large purchase forces you to pull money out. But in general, we do see this pretty much every year around this time. And if you remember, there have been bull runs that were initiated just after November. So something we see every year, prices very low, people referring to this as the Crypto Black Friday. Now, if you want to pick up something right now, or if you want to wait for prices to maybe drop even further, I have seen predictions for Bitcoin to drop to anything between 1,500 and 3,000 before the next bull run, and everything else would likely be dragged along. That is up to your consideration. Now, in my view, this is a bit of a gamble. We simply do not know for sure how long this bear market will continue, and these can turn around at just about no notice, and then you might have lost out on your chance to buy cheap. So for me personally, I'm not sure how much longer I would wait, but that is up to your own consideration. let's jump into some actual news and analysis and articles and whatever else I have open. Now, looking at a bit longer term than the next couple of weeks, the BitPay COO has repeated his claim that Bitcoin could hit 15 to 20,000 by the end of 2019. He is expecting that 2019 will see an extended bull run that will get us to at least the values that we have seen in the last one. The chief commercial officer of global crypto payment processor BitPay has ventured that Bitcoin will hit $15,000 to $20,000 by the end of 2019. The CEO, Sonny Singh, I probably mispronounced that, I'm very sorry, made his forecast during an interview with Bloomberg. In the midst of a bearish market picture, with Bitcoin down over 32%, Singh said that he expects the next big price action to come when mainstream financial sector giants such as Fidelity and Intercontinental Exchange, ICE, start to launch their crypto-based investment products next year. Now, ICE is of course who is behind Bakkt. The financial giant's entry into the space could catapult Bitcoin's price to as high as 15,000 to 20,000 by the end of 2019, Singh told reporters. So we have essentially the important statement here. Very, very bullish on the midterm future of Bitcoin here. Now I'm pretty sure this is the same prediction he has already given out before the markets dropped significantly in the last week or so. And he's sticking to it. This is a different approach to price prediction. Now, you can predict the future value of an asset. And when you do that, you have to decide, do you predict off what you consider to be something akin to the innate value of something? Which, of course, whether innate value exists is up for discussion. But you can try to come to what you think the value for an asset should be, regardless of market movements of current price. And that is probably what he's doing here. That is probably why his prediction remained the same. Or, alternatively, another way to predict, and there are middle grounds between this, of course. Another way to predict is to look at the current price and look at what you expect future developments to be, where it will take the current price. Now, if you do that, you pretty much have to halve your predictions. But it depends on how you personally think it is safer to predict the market. Now, for me personally, I think right now the crypto markets are too young, too immature, have too much speculation money in it, too many people who are not very well informed, that the prices do not in any way reflect something that could be considered the real innate value of a token or coin. So I think right now it is safer to look at the current prices and extrapolate from there. Like if you think there are a certain number of events that could cause either one large bull run or multiple independent bull runs, I think it's safer to look at the current price and see how many times could that go up, rather than to look at what you think a certain coin should be worth. And then, of course, the current value doesn't really matter to you. But if the crypto market turns into a more mature market, and I think this will happen with time, with more institutional investors in here, more people will be applying standard financial valuation models, and we've seen what some models come up with supposed values for individual coins or individual tokens. But I think we're going to be seeing more of that in the future, and at that point we have to look at just what does this asset do, what use cases does it have, how many are there, how high is the demand, what can it be used for, who's behind it, what image does it have, rather than just what price does it have right now, will it go up or down. Talking about the midterm future, there is apparently going to be much more rapid Ethereum development than we have so far expected. And this of course makes sense. Ethereum is a very much advanced blockchain as compared to the first generation of blockchains. But there are a lot of other blockchains coming out now who have many of its features, who in some ways are more advanced than it, and it obviously needs to keep up. Ethereum developers are quietly discussing a previously undisclosed upgrade that could boost the capabilities of the technology more aggressively in the short term. Specifically, the minutes from 4 private meetings that took place at the DevCon 4 conference at the end of October refer to an upgrade named Ethereum 1x, possibly to be activated in June 2019. An internal document containing the minutes was published to GitHub by an engineer of the Ethereum virtual machine, Greg Colvin, on Friday. While previously undisclosed, the minutes have been verified by one attendee who wishes to remain anonymous. They told CoinDesk that developers believe the proposals are too early stage to be discussed publicly. Other developers did not respond to requests for comment. Still, the meeting notes give a window into one potential reason for the lack of response. Ethereum's more veteran developers appear to be of differing opinions of how best to solicit community feedback on technical proposals and sensitive ideation stages. Writing on GitHub, release manager for the parity Ethereum client Afri Shoden expressed that he had been unaware of the document or that plans were in motion for an impending upgrade. As with all public blockchain networks, Ethereum requires a distributed consensus among software users for any changes to its rules, though code changes are typically proposed by developers. At one of the meetings, attendees include Ethereum creator Vitalik Buterin, Joseph Lubin, the founder of the largest Ethereum startup Brooklyn-based Consensus Systems, and notable community organizers and developers including Lane Rettig, Peter Szilagyi, I'm sorry, I completely messed that up, and Hudson Jameson. The notes suggest that Ethereum developers may be under pressure to augment their public roadmap in ways that seek to add improvements at an accelerated timeline. Several changes were discussed for inclusion in a system-wide upgrade or hard fork, currently targeted for June, that have not previously been associated with the 2019 release. And here we get to the meat. This series of upgrades potentially includes replacing Ethereum's underlying virtual machine, the component that processes smart contract code. It will also introduce rent, or storage fees for smart contracts that would seek to stem the growth of the Ethereum blockchain, currently around 1 terabyte on a full archive node, which must be downloaded by all participating nodes. So what is going on here is that a lot of the underlying tech on Ethereum is set to be revamped, possibly sooner than expected so far, with this right now slated for June. Now you gotta keep in mind, with Ethereum, a lot of these are not precise dates. A lot of the times when they give a date or a general time period for an update, you shouldn't really take that as gospel. There has been a lot of stuff moved back, sometimes because an error was found and sometimes for other reasons. But in general, this very much looks to me like Ethereum is feeling the pull from other newer cryptocurrencies who do a lot of things that Ethereum does as well, who arguably do some things better or cheaper or at a higher scale, and replacing the underlying virtual machine that works for their smart contracts and introducing a new feature with rent that might just give Ethereum the edge it needs, or at least give a few more possibilities for development on top of it. Now, as very much a platform for smart contracts and dApps, the more options you have, the better, and especially with rent, a lot of interesting stuff might be going on there. Now for some less good news. Now Coinbase, of course, famously has gotten a massive valuation just a couple of weeks ago at $8 billion. Became one of the largest companies in the cryptosphere. Pretty much up there with the likes of Ripple, which has about 20 billion in funding. Coinbase, 8 billion valuation, but not all is well in the Coinbase camp, it appears. Because we've been seeing a lot, and I really mean a lot, of people leaving the platform, the company. And it's not replaceable low-level workers. We're talking about the administration having massive turnover, and it happened again. US-based cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase is reportedly losing another senior executive. Now, when an article at Coindesk is starting out with this and adding in another, you know you're in trouble. According to a Bloomberg report on Wednesday, its chief policy officer Mike Lempres is leaving the firm to take on a new role at venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz. As chief legal and risk officer during a time of tremendous growth for Coinbase, Mike was instrumental in building the company's legal and compliance functions and driving our vision of trust through compliance. We wish him the best, Coinbase was quoted as saying. Coinbase has seen a couple of notable departures in recent weeks. In late October, former head of trading Hunter Maggard left just after 6 months on the job. Adam White, one of the most senior executives and 5th ever employee at Coinbase, also left the same month. He had been vice president and general manager of Coinbase Institutional. There have been hirings too. Back in September, Coinbase took on former Fannie Mae executive Brian Brooks as its new chief legal officer. Now, some people leaving a relatively young finance or tech company, that is not unheard of. If you've been following like Silicon Valley, the companies in that space at any capacity on any level, you have noticed a lot of them, they get founded, they instantly hire a lot of good talent, but then within months or years you see a lot of that talent move on, and that isn't necessarily a sign that there's any trouble at those companies. But when you see it happening with so many people in such a short time period, that makes me think there is something going on the higher levels of Coinbase. There must be either some very strong unhappiness there among people, or there have to be at least two camps that are disagreeing on something major. Because you don't just see this many people leaving. Now, 1 or 2 people leaving, that is perfectly normal. But I believe I saw something, I believe it was 4 out of the 5 earliest employees had left by now. Like, something is going wrong on some level at Coinbase, and I don't know what it is. I can't even make a guess what it could be. But it has to be something major. It has to be something about either a decision the company is making, or one of the top people, or about the atmosphere at the company, because you always get a few like serial entrepreneurs who move on to other companies. A lot of these people, a lot of these tech people are really competitive, are really career oriented. The moment they feel that they can't progress anymore at one company, they are moving away to another one. The moment they get a better offer somewhere else, they leave. That is sadly the state of the tech industry, especially around Silicon Valley. Now, Coinbase, of course, is a tech company, so I would include that in that general space, and a lot of the people involved there are probably that kind of person. But it is a bit troubling just how much is happening here, and Coinbase, a lot of people do not like Coinbase. It seems that a lot of people who used to work for Coinbase also do not like it that much there. But let's get to some more positive news about an individual coin, because I try to actually talk about them, but I end up not doing it that much. IOTA gets a major update. Well, not so much an update as much as it is removing a part of its previous system, the coordinator. Now, we talked about this a while ago, I believe when it was first announced, but we're getting closer now. The IOTA Foundation has revealed for the first time that it plans to gradually phase out the IOTA network coordinator, which some see as a centralization risk. In a series of posts on its official blog this week, the foundation outlined a sequence of steps it plans to take before Coordicide, which it sees as a major landmark on the road to complete decentralization. While IOTA is not a blockchain but a directed acyclic graph, it does however employ a proof-of-work network security mechanism like a blockchain. This means that in theory, if a user were to command enough of the network's hashing power, they could bend the consensus rules to do anything they want, including double spending and network splits. This was a particularly real risk for IOTA because unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum, which have thousands of miners, the IOTA network's hashing power was relatively small, meaning it would be less difficult for an attacker to gain control of it. To forestall such a scenario, the IOTA network coordinator was created with a primary remit of preventing double spends. Known as Q, the coordinator, which is controlled by the IOTA Foundation, issues periodic transactions known as milestones. If any transaction on the IOTA network is not directly or indirectly referenced by a milestone, it is not confirmed. While this gives the Foundation a certain amount of control over the network, it should be noted that it does not allow for transaction history to be changed or user funds to be accessed. So you have to worry to which degree this existing is a problem, but if you want something to be completely decentralized, you probably want to get rid of it just in case. According to the IOTA Foundation, while Q has served its purpose well, in the interests of the long-term success of the framework, it is necessary to kill it off first of all because, at least theoretically, it permits the Foundation to choose which transactions receive priority, and also permits the Foundation to freeze sewer funds by instructing milestones to ignore transactions involving such funds. In addition, Q provides a central point of risks, because if it stops functioning or is taken over by a bad actor, all confirmations on the network would halt. Even more significantly, the need for milestones to confirm transactions works against the scalability of IOTA in the long term. Despite the announcement, for now there exists no firm timeline for the removal of Q. A quote from the blog reads, The short answer is that the coordinator can and will be removed when our research team is satisfied that we understand the coordinator-free tangle sufficiently. So this isn't as much an announcement of when this will happen as much as just the mission statement to make this happen at some point. Now, they purposely use language here that could be interpreted as it happening at any time in the future. This could be years ahead of us. They could be doing a lot more research before any of this happens. But it's nice to have just the open official statement that they're going to remove this factor. Now, this doesn't seem like it realistically is much of a risk, but it is certainly a potential attack point. And you want to get rid of any attack point on your decentralized system, especially if payments and tokens are involved. If someone can freeze the entire network, that is not good at all. Now, it does look like it would be incredibly unlikely for this to be abused, but you still want to get rid of it just in case. And it's very good to see the IOTA team doing just that. And with that, I'm going to end today's video. I think I got through most of the major news. I'm gonna talk about some stuff that I found tomorrow because I didn't want to overload this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you want to read any of these articles yourself, the links are in the description. In the description you will also find my social media pages, as well as, if you feel so inclined, ways to support the channel. But a main way to support it, if you don't want to give me any money, is to simply subscribe and share my videos with your friends. So if you're doing any of that, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.